Hi, I just wanted to do a short video to say a couple of things that I've been aware of over the last few days, to do with food and the effects of food again, and how eating foods that weaken your system can cause real difficulties if you've got energy attachments, spirit attachments, other things that are riding on your energy field. I've said in other videos, I genuinely believe virtually everybody is carrying other energies with them, and that can be, to a small degree, just like introjects, things that people have said to you that you've taken in, ideas about yourself that you've taken in, programming, conditioning, all of these kind of things. But I do feel most people are carrying other energies that are feeding through their energy systems. Virtually everybody who has an addiction, and they may not even realise it's an addiction, but even just things like coffee, sugar, chocolate, salt, even fried foods, these kind of things, I really do feel that there are other energies that are riding on the vibration of those foods and want people eating those foods. That's why we find it so bloody difficult at times to quit a particular habit or food or way of being. For myself, I normally eat raw, and I normally try and keep my diet as clean as I can, but I'm just recovering from a chest infection after going up north and visiting family, and I thought that it would be helpful for me to do myself a big witch's stew of a lot of greens and herbs, and I put cayenne pepper, black pepper, things like that in, a lot of garlic and onions. And like, normally I don't touch nightshades, which cayenne pepper is a nightshade vegetable, along with potatoes, tomatoes, aubergines, peppers, those kind of things. They're all nightshades, and I've known for a long time that my system is very sensitive to nightshade vegetables, and that, at the risk of sounding strange, I feel like there's very much a different attachment in me that feeds off those kind of, off the nightshades and off the black pepper and things like that. I think with my system already being weak, with having been ill for a week and a half or so, having foods that were difficult on my system, in hindsight, probably wasn't the wisest idea. But the last 2 days I found it really difficult because I've had so much more interference due to weakening my system. I think because my body was obviously having to fight the infection off quite strongly, because I don't like taking antibiotics and things like that, not even like paracetamols. I try and stay as natural as possible. You know, I've been using different herbs and things to try and keep my temperature down and try and battle the infection, and it's been doing all right, really. You know, I'm coming out the other side now, but I'd been doing okay with it until I had this stew, you know, this cooked food, and I really have had so much more interference. It's not been fun. So in a way, I wanted to talk about what that actually feels like, because, you know, people mention spirit possession and stuff, you know, as if I'm supposed to be vomiting pea soup and my head twisting around all over the place. But it isn't like that, you know. I mean, I do genuinely feel other things in my system. I feel other things looking out through my eyes at times. But the thing that I struggle with most is just, it's like having toxic thoughts. And again, this isn't like hearing voices. I don't hear them outside of me. It isn't another voice. It's not like I've got some scary demonic force saying kill your partner or anything stupid like that. You know, it's the way they work, it wouldn't work for them if it was like that, because it would be too blatant that something else is going on. Most of the interference we all suffer is, it sounds like our own thoughts. It sounds like our own thought streams. So like I'll just get, it's just crap responses all the time, you know, like I know that the energies that are around me have been trying to split me and my partner up for a very long time. They don't want us together because we pool energy, and when we pool energy it raises our awareness levels, and we become much more aware of a lot of the things that is going on the earth plane. And through these videos and other means we do try and raise awareness about that. So you know, they would much prefer me to be with an alcoholic partner or an abusive partner, or a partner who's just going to pull me off totally into the mundane. So with being with somebody who has awareness as well, and who genuinely cares about what is going on the earth and the state of the planet and these kind of things, and in cleansing his own system and raising his own vibration, you know, we're both on a very similar path, and so we come together on that and we try and help each other. So, you know, the last couple of days has just been a bloody nightmare again, to be honest. The last time it was this bad was the last time actually that I had nightshades. I had a pasta meal about 2.5 months ago, something like that. I think I did a video about that. If I remember, I'll put a link to that as well. But that was a nightmare then for about 2, 3, 4 days. Like our communication was just totally messed about with, you know, we couldn't see each other properly. There was just way too much interference going on all the time, you know. Like when that happens, I tend to try and focus on like my heart center and try to listen with an open heart, because like there can be just so much bile going on in here, and it's not stuff that I'm buying into, you know. I'm not going down like my own dissatisfaction thought chain or anything. It's just like, it's just a load of crap basically. And I do think this kind of thing is going on in general for a lot of us without us even realizing, because you know, you expect something to be big and obvious, but like the energies that want to ride on our system, that want to use our body systems, that want to feed through our body systems, that want to experience through our body systems, it wouldn't work if it was blatantly obvious, you know. If we knew clearly that we have other stuff going on and everybody was aware of that, we'd really be doing something at a collective human level to do something about this. And we don't, obviously, you know, most people aren't aware. A little bit of a sidetrack, it's not only the foods, of course, you know, there are so many things that have been designed now to create distraction in us all. You know, we're all stuck on our smartphones, we're all on computers, we're watching films, we're watching TV, we're watching the media, we're listening to music all the time. You know, there have been so many ways now designed to make us all zone out. Driving is a big one as well, of course. You know, we can be driving and be on automatic pilot and not even know how we got home. So when we are not actively here and present in our lives, you know, very consciously here, it makes it much easier for other energies to work within our energy systems, to put in urges to just, you know, unconsciously eat packet of crisp after packet of crisp, biscuit after biscuit, all of these kind of things. You know, it's possible to find that you've eaten your way through a whole packet of crisps or a packet of biscuits without even really having been conscious of it, you know, not being aware of the taste in our mouth, the textures, all of these kind of things. And to be fair, a lot of the time we've been brought up not to be aware of these things, you know. We've been brought up to eat cooked foods, we've been brought up to eat sugar, salt, a load of additives, junk food, and we've often been brought up to eat it unconsciously, you know, sitting in front of the television, sitting in front of the computer, just talking with somebody else, so we're not aware of the foods. And, you know, obviously anything that I say isn't a criticism, because apart from the fact that I'm, very, very much a work in progress myself, as the last few days have shown again. Not that I needed it showing, but I'm very much a work in progress, and we all are. We're all, wherever we are, on our own personal journeys and our own awareness levels. The foods, I felt very, very knocked out of my body with eating the cooked foods and having a bit of the nightshades again. It feels almost like my body system kind of goes into shock when I eat stuff that isn't good for me or it's not used to, and it numbs the system. And then with that numbing, the other energies that are still in my system that I've not managed to clear as yet, it strengthens them. So their effect on me, their effect on my thought processes and my moods has been much more pronounced. I felt so moody the last couple of days, just like moody, unimpressed. There's a line of sarcastic, horrible crap going through my mind all the time. I'm having to not speak because I don't want to be an evil cow, and it's just, it isn't my way. And I don't mean that I don't have elements of these things. We all do have things that we're unhappy about, chunterings, resentments at times, but other energies can very much ride on those vibrations as well. But when they're within your system, they've got all their stuff as well. So it's very easy to feel that the resentment you're feeling is your feeling, rather than realising that it is the feeling of some disgruntled, unhappy energy that's attached to us, which is often the case as well. Some of it can be our own, some of it is not our own. I suppose I've done quite well to get 12 minutes into this without coughing, considering I've spent the last 2 weeks coughing, which again has been a clearing process. I know that at times when I've been able to work with it, I know that I've been clearing other things. I took a lot in to my lungs through the attack I went through and through other experiences. There's been a lot of stuff that I know my system is trying to clear, and sometimes when I've not been able to work with things at the emotional level, it will go on to the physical level. And with being up north by myself, normally Riki and I help each other with our emotions, what we're feeling, and it helps clear things. But with me having been away from him and around people who don't really work with their emotions at all, everything had got compressed and suppressed again, and it went onto my chest again, which it does at times when I'm up there, because there's a very strong pattern when I'm there of not allowing the emotions. Emotions are a bad thing. So when that happens, it does tend to then go on to the physical level, because my system wants to clear all these things. It wants to clear all emotions, trauma, just anything that bubbles up at a day-to-day level as well. Naturally it wants to be able to move things through and out, and it hadn't had the chance for the last couple of weeks, really 2 or 3 weeks, and I was up there for like a week and a half of that, and everything was stuck then. So I'm kind of playing catch up on the clearing, I think. But I suppose I should talk more about how this stuff feels, because when the infiltration is stronger, when other energies have got a bit of a stronger hold on the body, it almost is like I see that there's a very, very strong correlation between physical parasites and spiritual parasites, energetic parasites. I feel like all these things are interconnected, and it's similar with germs and things as well. Obviously the last couple of weeks my body has been fighting some kind of infection off, and when I ate these other foods, like I was doing better. I was starting to come out of it, and I thought if I had that, if I had a load of herbs and the spices that I'd put in, that it was going to help clear, the steam and everything, help clear my chest. but it weakened my system and I felt more ill again, as well as having all the energetic crap got stronger, you know, the interference, the mind interference. In a way, I'm quite lucky that I am very aware of these things now. I've had to become very aware of it over the last sort of 10 years or so that Riki and I have been working together. You know, when we met, all hell broke loose. It was absolutely crazy. You know, I didn't know what on earth was going on. But as time's gone on, we've got clearer, we've understood more what's happening, we've taken more of our own power back, we've been able to differentiate more clearly between what is us, our own stuff, and what is other things that jumped on through traumas or through weaknesses or through like anything that's weakened the system over the years, really. And it helps being aware of it, because I mean, otherwise the last couple of days I could have just been being bloody horrible to Riki, really. I could have been being just, well, I mean, obviously the person that I am, I wouldn't be horrible, which is helpful anyway, you know, but I could have been being like a bit acidic, a bit sarcastic, a bit unkind, you know, too many digs. And I mean, I have been doing that a little bit, but I've been really aware that it isn't my feelings, and I've been trying not to buy into them. I've been trying not to dig into them, you know, not to give them fuel, not to make them bigger. But it's just, it's not pleasant, you know. I didn't come here to be unkind, you know. I didn't come here to be a horrible person or to make other people feel crap. It wasn't my intention to do those things. It's also, it would have been very easy for me to buy into a lot of the rubbish that was being done and, you know, think that I should split up with him, that things aren't right, you know. There's just been all sorts of stuff. And I do think in general this is going on for a lot of people on a day-to-day level. You know, these energies will fuel conflicts between people, unhappinesses between people, power play, feeling that somebody isn't pulling their weight, but working on it. You know, there can be those things happening as well, but these energies will really work on that. You know, it will feed a lot of toxic stuff through the mind. And the difficult thing is as well that it does shape our perspectives. It shapes how we see things and how we hear things. I decided to do this video because I just watched through one that Riki had made earlier this afternoon, and because I've got so much overshadowing, like normally when I watch through, if he's done a video separately, I focus on it. I'm not doing anything else. I'm listening to him, and most of the time the truth in me hears the truth that he's speaking. Sorry, just proving that I've been ill. You know, so like normally I hear his truth and I feel love and respect for him because I recognise the truth that he's speaking. But this time listening, because I've had so much disgruntled energy going on in me, you know, other energies that really aren't very happy at all, I was doing other things on a tablet while I was listening, and there was just, again, like just a line of absolute crap responses to everything he was saying, you know, sarcastic remarks, like sniggers, like, you know, just all sorts of rubbish. And I know there's every chance that if anybody's actually watching this, you might be having exactly the same thing going on with what I'm having, you know, what I'm saying here. I mean, that's all right. I'm not judging anybody on anything, but it's just, it really is worth starting to become aware of these things, aware of when that internal voice isn't actually your own, when it's not coming from your truth. You know, like a lot of us at different times in our lives kind of been surprised at how we've acted. You know, like we've been more like sharp with somebody than we intended, or more reactive to something that somebody else has done unconsciously, even within ourselves, you know, and it can be quite surprising. Like sometimes it can obviously be our own triggers through experiences we've gone through, but other times it's almost like it's a moment where we're not as controlled of ourselves at that time. You know, maybe when somebody's under the influence of drink or drugs, or even just really zoned out from really heavy carb meals, or it's often at times when we're stressed. When we're stressed is often a time when other energies push through more. So I do think most people at some point in their lives have had an experience where they were surprised at how they acted or how they responded. You know, I mean, at the most extreme level, sometimes people get caught in doing really bad things. You know, sometimes people can hurt other people, attack other people. You know, especially if there's a group of people, you can ride on that energy of hatred or violence or abuse. You know, often I think that happens in the case of gang rapes and stuff. You know, I do feel like people get taken over very strongly at times. And if you actually remember what you've done, which sometimes people just don't at all, sometimes people don't have any idea what they've done, but if you do have memory or recollection, then you can feel a lot of shame and confusion, not understanding your own behaviour. And obviously in those situations it is helpful at times to become aware truly yourself of other energies within your system, you know, because then if it is something that you have actually done, you can take responsibility for that. But if it's something else, then it's being aware of that and taking the responsibility to not act on that infiltration, to not act on those suggestions, on that behaviour, on that energy wave or current that is going on. I'd heard it described once that human beings are kind of like a library ticket. I don't think it's actually the best analogy, but it's the idea that we all are natural channels. You know, we are a spirit or a soul within this fleshy body, and other energies are able to come in and go out of that if we're not protecting our energy sphere very well. So sorry, Riki just came to the door, so it threw me off track a little bit then. If we're not protecting our energy field, or we're doing things that makes us unconscious, drug use particularly, you know, even at times like caffeine and things like that, sugar, you know, like when you're knocked out on a sugar high, you've had too many carbs, you know, you'll have a heavy meal and then be knocked out for ages. You know, we can be more vacant in our body and more numb in our body and not realise that other energy is there, you know, that is feeding off things, or, you know, like it for energies or beings that don't have unhelpful agendas, then it can just be out of interest. You know, there could be other energies that are just wanting to come in and see what it feels like to be here, you know, have a bit of a look around, you know, see what it feels like to feel skin, to feel the taste of food, or I think there can often be a lot of infiltration when people have sexual contact, especially if you know, if that contact isn't a very loving connection between people who do love each other. You know, if it takes like more warped or twisted turns, or, you know, like unhealthy sexuality, like degradation, power stuff, then other energy can very, very much be riding on those vibrations. And that is often a time when energies will move from one person into another person. I think that's, you know, STDs are the least of your worries at times, because the transmission of other energies, especially not nice energies, I think is often more serious than getting a bout of chlamydia or whatever else, you know. But our intentions really matter, you know. What we're choosing to align with, what matters to us, really matters, and it sets our path. And if we're aligning with energies that don't have good intentions on this earth, or if we're aligning with addictions, we reinforce those pathways, and it's a lot harder for us to have the connection with our truth, our purity, our grace, our higher aspects, our creativity, our expression. I think really that's probably all that I need to say, plus I'm aware it's got to 25 minutes and I don't know if you'll have been able to stay with me this long. I suppose just the fact, like, really, so much I feel of this human experience, especially at the moment, is about becoming as clear and as aware as we possibly can. You know, being aware of influences, being aware of when what's going on in here isn't our truth, isn't what we want, is temptations, suggestions, judgments, all of these kind of things. Of course, some of it can be our own, but a lot of it is interference and manipulation. There's a lot to be gained by other energies at pitting us all against each other, because when we're united in truth and in love, we're very strong, you know. And I truly believe that, I feel like all of us actually incarnate with good intention. You know, I do think we actually come down with things that we want to do, things that we want to learn while we're in body. And I also think that in spirit we are aware of the amount of interference and corruption and unhelpful energy that is on the earth plane. And I think we're bloody nuts for deciding to come here. But I also, you know, I don't really, I'm just being stupid. But I think we forget how full on it is, you know, because, as I said, you know, Riki and I have been working with this stuff for 10 years, and I could still be conned, you know, and it frustrates me. You know, I'm not very happy that I could still be conned by these suggestions, you know, oh, it's all right to put a little bit of cayenne pepper in that because it'll help clear this, that and the other, you know, like that's the thing as well. Sorry, I've just jumped, I know. But in general, when we're being affected by other energies, there will be very good reasons for the suggestions that are being put in. You know, it's not going to be outlandish things usually. It's not going to be, oh, it's a really good idea to go and run off that cliff, or why don't you get an axe and go and hack your neighbour's head off. It's not those sort of things that they'll do. It'll be things that are designed to weaken our systems, sort of like, oh, I really fancy a ciggy, or I'll just have another bit of cake, or oh, I may as well finish that pack of biscuits now, or, you know, it'll be things that seem very innocent, or things that seem logical, you know. Like, to me, the idea of, oh, just putting a tiny bit of a nightshade, you know, the cayenne pepper, into my stew, that'll be good, you know, it's good, it kills parasites, it'll help clear any congestion that's still in my chest, like all of this, you know, there were logical reasons for me doing it, but it was still, you know, if I was thinking more clearly as myself, I would know that every time I have nightshades, it weakens my system and I get more interference afterwards. So, you know, it frustrates me a little when I can't hold my own power and my truth enough, and I get conned into having something that weakens my system, that jeopardises my system more. Obviously, I'm not beating myself for that, because thankfully I put the big stick away. You know, I try not to hurt myself anymore because it doesn't help. But I do want to be more aware. I want to be clearer. I want to not take things into my system that weaken it and that allow other energies to work in my system or affect me more. And I don't like doing it as well, because obviously with Riki and I being so connected, what I do affects him and vice versa. So if one of us falls, it makes it harder for the other one as well. Yeah, awareness, I suppose. I guess that's the ultimate thing that I'm trying to talk about. You know, trying to be aware of influences of thoughts and when those thoughts might not be around, you know, whether they're coming from outside other people or whether they're coming from other energies within inside the body system, whatever it is. You know, becoming more aware of that, becoming aware of the foods that weaken you, the behaviours that weaken you, the things that knock you out. You know, sometimes it can be like going out to a club where the music's really loud and you're getting disorientated or, you know, like numbed out, and whatever it is. Just becoming more aware. And I think on that note, I'll hopefully leave you in peace. Good luck on your own path. You know, I really don't believe these journeys are a walk in the park or easy for any of us. We're all dealing with different things. We're all dealing with different pulls, addictions of whatever kind. Even, like I say, I mean, a lot of people aren't even aware that it is addictive pulls. But just be gentle with yourself and keep growing and trust yourself, because, you know, we all are beautiful and true beings, and we're much, much more powerful than we have been allowed to realise and remember. So much love to you all. Thank you for listening. Take care.